Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and welcome to another session on research methods. So this session में we'll talk about a research method that is called ethnography. So as I already told you in my previous sessions कि कोई भी phenomena scientific हो या फिर social हो, social तो per se वो होता ही in the context of human है, लेकिन even a phenomena if it's scientific in nature तो वो लिम्बो में एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता. It's not only being studied in isolation, क्योंकि isolation में phenomena तो understand हो जाएगा, लेकिन at the end of the day the phenomena exist because phenomena exist and human beings interact with that phenomena. Yeah, the phenomena is in the context of the human being. So normal जो scientific point of view है वो ये कि you just understand the phenomena as it is, but the human aspect of that phenomena that also needs to be researched. So in such scenarios जो research method, one of the research methods that is used that are called ethnography. So ethnography is about कि कोई भी scientific phenomena exist करता है, उसको in context of human beings में ना study किया जाए या describe किया जाए. So as the ethnography, the word, it means it consists of two words, ethno and graphy. So ethno का मतलब है human culture and graphy means description of. So at the end of the day ethnography is all about description of human culture. लेकिन ये सिर्फ don't get confused by the literal definition of ethnography कि सिर्फ human culture की description नहीं है, बल्कि human culture की description किस sense में है कि वो जो phenomena आप understand कर रहे हैं. For instance, if you're trying to understand maybe mobile phones जो हैं they are technical in nature, but you're trying to find out the adoption of mobile phones in a particular society. So now this is going to be a phenomenon that you're trying to understand in its human social perspective में आप उसको understand करना चाह रहे हो. And one of the ways you can do that is via ethnography, where you try to describe कि किसी भी phenomena के around एक खास किस्म की community उसके around क्या practices या क्या culture develop करती है. So it is about interaction between the phenomena and the human beings. और जो ethnography जो है, it is more closely associated with anthropology, which is about the study of development and origins of human societies and culture. So ethnography is an approach where a researcher tries to develop understanding of everyday activities of the people. ठीक है, उसमें जो focus है it's the people at the end of the day. और उनको भी study कहाँ किया जाता है, in local settings. Ethnography is not about generalization. You cannot say that अगर आपने एक study conduct किया तो that means that is generalizable to all the cultures, all the societies, all the communities. बल्कि local एक focused local settings में वो की जाती है, where you try to understand a phenomena in terms of what are the activities around it जो कि लोग उस perform करते हैं, the activities that people are doing it. The whole local context में you try to understand that. And the research process used in this scientific study is about the human interactions in their social setting. And of course, even अगर कोई technical कोई चीज़ उसके अंदर associated है, तो आप उस technical thing के around लोगों की interaction को देखोगे. So it's going to be a bridge between the soft side, that is human aspect, and if you're trying to understand some scientific phenomena, तो वो उन दोनों का amalgam है. So human interaction and the science or scientific phenomena that you're studying. So the ethnographer, if you're a researcher and you're doing ethnography, then you'll be an ethnographer. You'll be studying, you're describing human culture around the topic that you're researching. So the ethnographic वो कैसे develop करता है understanding he tries to find out how the community functions, और उसमें he does that by understanding कि कौन क्या करता है और जो goals हैं वो कैसे achieve हो रहे हैं जिस भी टॉपिक को वो रिसर्च कर रहा है. So you know how he does that, in order to understand local context, yeah, in order to understand the local culture or us phenomena ke around, you cannot do so by by observing from outside. So what an ethnographer does, he spends time, some time in that community, और वो ऐसे spend करता है कि not only he's observing, but बल्कि he's becoming part of the study itself. यानी कि वो जो phenomena understand कर रहा है, देखेगा, if he wants to study the culture, so he or she has to become part of that community and do what people do and try to formulate his understanding from their perspective. अपनी वो कोई चीज़ अपने biases वो introduce नहीं करेगा. He'll describe what people do, and and how he can do that, he will be forming close relationship with the informants. So informants क्या होंगे, वही लोग जिनके साथ वो interact कर रहा होगा, and he's becoming the part of that culture and trying to understand, gather information from those informants and try to understand how human are interacting as far as that phenomena is concerned. So, and while he's becoming part of that culture, तो साथ साथ वो data भी collect कर रहा होगा, and data collection can be in multiple ways. Either he can have extensive field notes, or he can have video recordings, or he can even have audio recordings, yeah, camera pictures वगैरह. So normally while he's part of that study, he starts collecting data right from the start, and in continues, and the analysis of that data is in simultaneous basis. ये जब तक वो ethnographic study होती रहेगी, maybe 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years, so the data is constantly being collected and it is being analyzed, or or वो iteratively हो रहा है to develop understanding of the human culture around that phenomena. And one of the very important aspect कि the ethnographies कभी भी pre-existing theories को दिमाग में रख के नहीं की जाती. So an ethnographic shouldn't have preconceived notions in his or her head before he goes on and embark on his research journey using ethnography. तो बल्कि the focus is on the members' point of view, जो community के जो लोग हैं उनका point of view, and how he gets that point of view by being part of it and by asking the people, and at the same time experiencing what they're doing it. जो भी वो काम कर रहे हैं उससे वो काम करते हैं, and then he also asks the people around that community to make sense of their social and cultural settings around that phenomenon. And ethnography describes, so that means it is descriptive in nature. यानी कि you just describe a phenomena in the social context या in the cultural context जो भी आपने उठाया है, जो भी culture उठाया है, जो भी settings उठाई हैं. So it describes the behavior, value, belief, and practices of the participants. Ultimately, it's about people. So people से around क्या होता है, behaviors होती हैं, values होती हैं, beliefs and practices are there. जो कि किसी भी given cultural settings में, whatever you are researching, उनको वो describe करता है. So ethnographic research जो है ना, it does not actually carried out in order to see to prove hypotheses or theories, क्योंकि preconceived notions मौजूद नहीं है. That means you cannot do an ethnography in order to prove your theory or to test your theory, या फिर maybe qualitatively आप उसकी understanding जानना चाह रहे हो, लेकिन you're having a lens, preconceived lens जिसके around you're trying to research. You have to, being a researcher, being an ethnographer, you need to you devoid your mind of any pre-existing theories that you think you might have, बल्कि उसको बिल्कुल clean slate करके you have to go and look at the member point of view and see के how do they see this particular phenomena from their point of view. So, it's not about testing of the hypothesis, या कि आप prove करें कि certain things will happen in certain way, बल्कि as a result of the ethnographic study, बल्कि there's a chance कि you come across hypothesis आपकी study से emerge करेंगे, आपकी research से emerge करेंगे. And this is one of the things that categorically distinguishes ethnography from other research methods. जिस तरह experiments हो गए, surveys हो गए, and case studies हो गई. We can understand experiments. Experiments are more about, you already have a theory and, आपने कोई hypothesis develop कर ली and you're testing them, so you're doing a quantification of that. Even surveys can be both. It can be qualitative or quantitative. लेकिन फिर भी at the beginning, before you embark on a survey, you might, if it's a quantitative survey, so you might have some sort of hypothesis that you're testing via that survey. Or even agar qualitative hai, so you already might have some proposition in the beginning that you're trying to usko understand karna cha rahe whether these propositions are true or not. Even if you go and do interviews which are qualitative in nature. So survey can be qualitative and quantitative, but nevertheless, there might be some sort of preconceived notions जो कि researcher के पास है, and then he's trying to prove those notions. And similarly in case studies, they are qualitative in nature. Strictly speaking, they are qualitative in nature. Lekin case study be, a researcher might already have some sort of an idea about the phenomena at hand, और वो उसको further जो है ना उसकी qualitative जो है ना undertaking ले रहा है. लेकिन nevertheless, he already has some preconceived notion or a theory or an understanding जिसको वो check करना चाह रहा है, qualitatively. But in ethnography, there is no such thing as that. But ethnography is all about you as a researcher अपने biases introduce नहीं करते. You do not start with something in your mind about a phenomena that you're understanding in context of the human being that you're going to study. बल्कि वो emerge करेगा, after you study that phenomena in and that culture, the hypothesis emerge करेंगे. So we should be understanding the fundamental theory behind ethnography. That is, the full understanding of a culture emerges only when an observer becomes part of it, relates to people involved, and knows the importance of detailed practice to go on. So, having that clean slate, he has to become part of the people, relate to the people. जब वो relate करेगा, तो तभी उसे understanding actual में उस phenomena की in that cultural या in that setting उसको समझ आएगी. पहले से कोई चीज़ उसके दिमाग में होगी, तो then that means he's not understanding the phenomena in context of that culture. या culture people point of view नहीं समझ, नहीं वो he will not be able to grab the people point of view if he has preconceived notions. अच्छा, principles of ethnography क्या हैं? 4 principles हैं. Natural settings, that is the foundation in ethnography is field work. तो आपने जाना है field work में जाना है. अगर if it is a scientific phenomena in terms of sciences, so you have to go and see the practices of people around that science domain. दूसरी बात ये कि holistism है. Particular behaviors understood in relation to how they are embedded in social and historical fabric of everyday life. So holistically इस phenomena को देखते हैं in terms of scientific endeavors and in terms of human aspect behavior. And more importantly, it's descriptive. You just describe what people actually do, and you don't say why they should do in a particular thing, and you're not supposed to be judgmental. And of course, as I told you earlier, it's a member point of view. So ethnographer create an understanding from the perspective of the participant, from the perspective of the culture जो कि वो study कर रहा है. So ethnographies are good when you try, as a researcher, when you're trying to understand, you're trying to develop a meaning in intertwining of context. Let me put it in through an example. Since it's about human beings and culture and the phenomena that you're understanding, that means let's take an example of mobile devices. उसकी adoption, if you're trying to understand, तो उसका meaning in Western context में different होगा. I mean, how the adoption of mobile phones are being undertaken in Western world is going to have a different meaning. But अगर उसी को आप किसी और context में ले आए, maybe in African world, the adoption of technology, अगर आप technology in terms of mobile phones देख रहे हैं, तो in that context उसका meaning different emerge करेगा. So ethnographic are good for understanding a phenomena when there's intertwining of context and meaning. You understand, you come across the meaning as per the context in which you are studying that. यानी किसी भी phenomena का meaning उसके context के ऊपर depend करता है. A study, ethnographic study done in one context will have a different meaning as compared to an ethnographic study of the same phenomena done in another context. And it's good for explaining cultures and practices. For example, again, अगर कोई tool है, a communication tool, mobile device is a communication tool, so you'll explain culturally क्या practices हैं, how people क्या काम करते हैं, वो किस तरह mobile phone इस्तेमाल करते हैं, and so on and so forth. लेकिन the limitation of ethnography is that कि आप generalization नहीं कर सकते, because it has the intertwining of context and meaning, and you're understanding that. तो जब context और उसका meaning आप आपस में interdependent है या उनको दोनों को आप इकट्ठे देख रहे हो, तो all the more reasons कि आप अपनी study को generalize नहीं कर सकते. The example could be the study done in the Western world about the adoption of mobile phones, and if it's an ethnographic study, you cannot generalize the findings of that study to maybe other context, to the Asian cultures. And it does not give you, ethnography does not give you support for theory building, क्योंकि आप सिर्फ describe कर रहे हो. Theory building के लिए you also need to answer questions के why this is, not what this is. So let's have a look in software engineering की field में ethnographic जो studies हैं उनकी अहमियत क्या है. So ethnography in SE is a technique to study the community of software engineers and why you do it, so that you can improve the way in which they work. देखिए, there are 4 roles of doing ethnography and ethnographic studies in software engineering. देखिए, when it comes to software engineering, तो वो सिर्फ एक technical domain नहीं है, बल्कि it not only about system, बल्कि it also involves human element, और हर aspect में. When you're doing about development, तो software engineering की जो development के में लोग people do the development, और फिर in the end जो products हैं, it's a people who actually use those products. Even the products in itself जिसमें जो software engineers काम करते हैं, वो भी not isolation में नहीं देखे जाते. For example, the development products, the way you use those products is associated with the human beings, that is the software engineers. So that is why doing ethnography in software engineering, it allows you to strengthen investigation into the social and human aspect of software engineering. So वो जो interaction है of the different tools with different participants या with different users, जो कि software engineers भी हो सकते हैं, या software engineers में testers भी हो सकते हैं, या फिर maybe requirements engineer भी हो सकते हैं, or whoever they are, उनकी investigation from the social perspective, it's important, and ethnography study play that role. And since once you do the ethnography, you try to understand what people do, right? Or as a result, in this case, what people do is about what software developers do when they interact with certain tools. तो उनकी अगर practices को आपको पता चल जाएगा, या you develop an understanding of that, तो it will allow you कि आप वही insights जो है ना in development या design of जो आगे आपने सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग टूल्स डेवलप करने हैं उनके अंदर जो है ना आप वो अपनी स्टडी की फाइंडिंग्स को लेके आएँ. सो अनदर रोल दैट एथनोग्राफी एंड एससी कैन प्ले is that they can inform the design of software engineering tools, and similarly they can improve the process development जो कि सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग की डोमेन में जो उससे एसोसिएटेड लोग हैं वो उसका पार्ट है. एंड मोर इम्पॉर्टेंटली the ethnography will complement other research methods in software engineering. See, there's software engineering ज़्यादा dominated by other research methods, for example, experimental studies or maybe quantitative studies, or we can take the example of लोग code analysis करते हैं. तो सिर्फ code analysis in itself in limbo या in isolation study करने का मतलब है you only have one aspect, code analysis में भी करना कैसे है या वो according to your research question it's just about understanding code analysis in it in not in its entirety but in isolation. लेकिन you also need to know कि जो लोग code analysis करते हैं उनकी practices क्या हैं. And to put it more clearly कि जो लोग वो practice करते हैं वो क्यों practice करते हैं. So that is why जो quantitative study है आपको वो वाली contextual details नहीं देते हैं. And if you do ethnography, so that will bring that rich descriptions into the phenomena that you're researching, और वो उस gap को fill करते हैं कि you just not only know the phenomena in depth in it itself, बल्कि you also know the phenomena in context of in the context of human interaction around that phenomena. So the जो features हम लोगों ने पहले पढ़े थे कि it's an ethnography, and I see ethnography in itself is about natural settings, holisticism, and it's descriptive in nature, and it tells you about the member point of view, जो कि just settings में आप उस phenomena को understand करने जा रहे हो. तो ये जो features हैं ये क्या value देती हैं software engineering की field को. It focuses on the member's point of view. So if we get the member's point of view, तो that means कि software engineering में जो software engineers की जो rationalities होती हैं in doing something, उनको वो made explicit कर लेगा, because you're providing descriptions of that. So it will sometimes you don't know why software engineers do what they do, but if you do an ethnographic study, though their point of view, their rationality will be coming to light in terms of why software engineers do what they do. इसी तरह another value that ethnography can give in the software engineering discipline is a focus on ordinary details of life, emphasizes local context and local expertise, which can be overlooked when using other research approaches. So see, this software engineering phenomena in terms of context is different, because software engineering is about people, and people have different cultural values, they have different cultures. अगर आप किसी सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग किसी प्रैक्टिस को या सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग के किसी टॉपिक को आप अंडरस्टैंड करना चाह रहे हैं, तो एथनोग्राफी विल पुट वैल्यू इन द सेंस कि वो लोकल कॉन्टेक्स्ट और लोकल एक्सपर्टीज को की जो रेलेवेंट जो इंटरेक्शंस हैं वो आपके सामने एम्फसाइज करेगा. Software engineering happening in another part of the world will be different. Software engineering happening in other parts of the world. या अगर इसको focus कर लें, whatever phenomena that you're researching about software engineering, उसका local context और local expertise से relevant जो information है या जो research है वो highlight करेगी ethnographies. And since you're describing it and you're researching it, and that means you're analyzing it formally, so it will make the results of an ethnographic study more than a simple account of activities. So सिर्फ description ये नहीं है कि आपने लिख दिया या how what are the things that happen, what are the practices. क्योंकि as a researcher you're analyzing it by being a part of the study, So it's much more than a simple account of the activity. It is actually understanding the practices and the rationalities behind those practices. And the production of such descriptions support academic accountability. And of course, जो in detail describe किया जाता है, the practices in a software engineering discipline of software engineers, तो वो आपको it will give you the academic accountability. You can go and check whether it happens जिस तरह describe किया गया study में after researching that topic, जो कि एक software researcher software engineering में जो है ना he was trying to understand a phenomena by researching it. So let's have an example of an ethnographic study in software engineering. So the title of this study is an ethnographic study of XP practices. So this study was done in the early 2002 I believe, or they tried to find out कि जो XP जो कि agile method है उसके अंदर specifically the extreme programming में जो a particular जो small company में जो लोग थे वो कैसे what were their practices. तो उन्होंने उसको extreme programming, which is a topic in software engineering, उसको study किया in the context of a small company जो कि web based intelligent advertisement develop करती थी. उसमें जाकर देखा कि how XP की जो practices हैं वो कैसे carry out हो रही हैं. And one of the ways that they described one of the 12 XP practices जो कि है कि work no more than 40 hours a week as a rule, never work overtime a second week in a row. उन्होंने इसको describe किया कि how that was being practiced among the programmers जो कि उस company में काम करते थे. So their observation actually it showed, the ethnography showed that the teams in that company were actually जितनी भी 12 की 12 practices हैं उनको वाकई में वैसे ही practice कर रहे थे जैसे उन्हें practice करना, the way it is they have been prescribed उसको ऐसे ही practice कर रहे थे. Not only that, बल्कि they were seeing when it comes to, they found out कि when it comes to this practice कि 40 घंटे से ज़्यादा आपने काम नहीं करना और overtime 2 week में रो नहीं लगाना. They actually found कि जो individuals, जो participants उनकी study का हिस्सा बने, they actually cross this divide of 40 hours seamlessly. Sometimes we divide कर देते हैं, but then they in the second or third week they would stop themselves from doing that, and as a result the researchers, they were able to say that they reached this conclusion that this ability to both set the divide and to move across it repeatedly was evidence for their shared ownership. So उनकी finding यही थी कि इस company के अंदर they were having a shared ownership of the work products and of control over how that work was achieved while using the practices of XP. And as a result, this actually truly believes कि उस company के अंदर जो human dimension में जो development हो रही थी, that was sustainable in the terms, one of the aspects जो उन्होंने study किया, that was sustainable in terms of not being overworked. So to summarize, ethnography is about doing research about a phenomena in local settings या in a local culture, और उसके अंदर जो आप study करते हो, that is the interaction of people, या how people interact with the how people interact around the phenomena that you're undertaking.